The music was cheerful, glasses were clinking, and golden lights sparkled across the enormous Christmas tree in the center of the ballroom. Everyone at the party was laughing, celebrating, and exchanging gifts, but at the edge of the room stood a woman whose entire world was about to collapse. She held a glass of water in her trembling hand, while her husband walked toward her with a cold smile and a thin stack of papers. Guests slowly turned their attention toward the scene, sensing drama unfolding in the middle of what was supposed to be a joyful night. And when he placed the papers in front of her and told her to sign them immediately, had no idea that the people watching the scene were to discover a secret that would shock the entire room. Amara Johnson had always believed that love meant loyalty. When she married Daniel Brooks 3 years earlier, she thought they were building a future together. Monk 1. She worked hard, supported his ambitions, and never asked for luxury or attention. Daniel came from a wealthy and influential family. Amara had grown up in a quiet neighborhood where respect mattered more than status. Despite their different backgrounds, she believed their relationship was strong. At least, she believed it in the beginning. Over time, Daniel began to change. His friends often whispered that he could have married someone from a richer or more powerful family. His mother constantly reminded him that Amara did not bring influence or connections to the Brooks family name. At every family gathering, subtle comments filled the air. Amara tried to ignore them, telling herself that love would eventually prove everyone wrong. But on Christmas night, the truth finally surfaced. The Brooks family hosted. The Brooks family hosted one of the most extravagant holiday parties in the city every year. Politicians, business leaders, and celebrities gathered in the decorated mansion for an evening of celebration. Amara had spent the entire day helping staff prepare the decorations, hoping that this year she might finally feel accepted. Instead, she noticed Daniel avoiding her all evening. He stood near the fireplace laughing with a tall, elegant woman wearing a silver dress. Amara had seen the woman before. Her name was Victoria. She came from a powerful business family that had partnered with the Brooks Company in recent months. Daniel finally approached Amara. His expression was unusually serious. "Come with me," he said quietly. They stepped toward the center of the ballroom where guests could easily see them. Amara felt uncomfortable with the sudden attention but assumed Daniel wanted to announce something important. Instead, he pulled several papers from a folder. "Sign these," he said flatly. Amara blinked in confusion. "What are they?" "Divorce papers." The room seemed to freeze. Conversation slowly faded as guests realized what was happening. Amara stared at the documents in disbelief. "You're joking," she whispered. Daniel's voice remained cold and controlled. "This marriage isn't working. It's better for both of us to move on." Amara looked around the room, noticing how some people watched with curiosity while others whispered quietly. She asked softly. Daniel glanced toward Victoria, who stood nearby with a confident smile. "Because I'm starting a new chapter in my life." Amara felt her heart sink as the meaning became clear. "You're leaving me for her." Daniel did not deny it. "My family expects a partner who fits our future." Amara's hands tightened slightly around the edge of the paper. "So this was planned." Daniel leaned closer and lowered his voice. "Just sign the papers. You'll avoid unnecessary embarrassment." "Unnecessary or embarrassment?" For several seconds Amara said nothing. She stared at the divorce papers while the room waited. Finally she asked a quiet question. "Is that really all our marriage means to you?" Daniel sighed impatiently. "Please don't make this dramatic. You'll receive a financial settlement. You'll be fine." The words stung more than the betrayal itself. Amara slowly lifted the pen placed beside the documents. Her hands trembled slightly, but her voice remained calm. "If this is truly what you want," she said quietly, "then I won't stop you." She signed the papers. Murmurs spread through the crowd as Daniel collected the documents with visible relief. Victoria stepped forward, wrapping her arm around his. Some guests smiled approvingly, believing the situation was finally resolved. But across the room, an elderly man who had just entered the mansion stood silently near the doorway. His sharp eyes moved from Daniel to Amara. Then he spoke. "Excuse me." A deep voice cut through the murmurs like thunder. Every head turned toward the entrance. Standing there was Marcus, one of the most powerful billionaires in the country and the founder of Carter Global Holdings. The room instantly grew quiet. Daniel frowned slightly, surprised to see such an influential guest appear unexpectedly. Marcus walked slowly across the ballroom, his gaze fixed on Amara. When he reached her, his expression softened with something that looked very close to pain. "My dear," he said gently, "why are you standing here alone?" Amara looked at him with confusion. "I'm sorry, sir." "Do we know each other?" Marcus studied her face carefully before answering. "Yes," he said quietly. "Very well." Wait. Daniel stepped forward, trying to maintain control of the situation. "Mr. Carter, this is a private matter." Marcus barely glanced at him. "Private?" he repeated calmly. "You forced a woman to sign divorce papers in front of an entire room." Daniel stiffened. Marcus then turned back toward Amara and spoke words that would change everything. Amara, he said softly, did your mother ever tell you about your grandfather? Her eyes widened slightly. She said he passed away before I was born. Marcus shook his head slowly. No. He paused for a moment before continuing. I have been searching for you for many years. The room fell silent. Daniel looked confused. What is this supposed to mean? Marcus finally turned toward him. It means, he said firmly, that the woman you just humiliated in front of your guests happens to be my granddaughter. Gasps spread across the ballroom. Marcus Carter was not just a billionaire. He controlled companies worth billions across several countries. Daniel's face slowly lost color. That's impossible. Marcus calmly reached into his coat and removed a small velvet box. Inside was an old family pendant with a symbol identical to the one Amara had worn since childhood. My daughter gave this to her child before she disappeared, Marcus explained gently. Amara stared at the pendant with trembling hands. My mother had the same one. Marcus nodded slowly. Never stopped looking for her or for you. Daniel glanced nervously around the room as whispers grew louder. Victoria slowly stepped away from him, realizing the situation was shifting dramatically. Marcus placed a reassuring hand on Amara's shoulder. You are not alone, he said softly. Then he turned back toward Daniel with calm authority. And as for those divorce papers, his voice carried across the silent ballroom. Congratulations, to Gashel. Daniel looked confused. Marcus's expression remained composed. You just divorced the future heir to my entire fortune. Or entire fortune. The silence that followed felt heavier than anything that had happened earlier that night. And for the first time since the party began, Daniel realized the mistake he had just made in front of everyone. All